Welcome back to Wedding Mayhem, your wedding channel for all things wedding. Thank you for coming back. And I am joined by Caroline Arthur, bespoke wedding designer. And I said bespoke. I said bespoke, didn't I?
Little round of applause.
I know. I've been practicing all morning. Just a word I can't say.
It's not the easiest word to say, especially in a mouthful with like bespoke bridal gown designer.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that.
But because particularly in our industry, because bespoke is actually something we say every single day as well. And we've known each other for a very long time.
Yes. Like literally from when I first started in the industry, you
Same.
were one of the first people that I met.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And do you know, the nicest thing was when you start out in any industry, but especially in the bridal industry, which is it's quite exclusive.
Yeah.
For a lot of people find it quite exclusive. Finding someone friendly, and easy to talk to.
Too friendly.
It's just like. Yeah, it was. No, you made it really, really easy.
Well, I think both of us had a crisis at the same time, and I can't, for life of me, I can't remember your crisis, but my crisis, and I don't know whether I told you the outcome. So basically, I had a lady, and it was the first and last time I actually ever offered this service, and it was a bespoke service where you could opt to have different lengths.
Okay.
In the skirts, and it was skirt and a top, and we measured her, and I made sure that because it was new for me too.
Yeah.
But so I measured this and measured that, and when she came in, it literally was about 5 inches off the ground, and we could not work it out. We measured it again. It was the last time I ever did a fitting on a Saturday because it was chaos, and she kicked off, and it was just bedlam. So I said, "You're gonna have to leave it with me," and I then contacted you. Right, what can we do about this? Because it is correct. I've ordered correct. These are her measurements. It should fit. And for the life of me, we couldn't work out what would happen. But you were so sweet. You gave me your time, and you're like, you know what, Sharon, we can change this. So we just need to get the bride back in, and this is what we can do. So I went back to her with a solution. She erupted again, and basically wanted her money back and all this sort of stuff. I then got a phone call like 30 seconds later from the girl that was actually with her to actually say, when I measured her, her shoe allowance was 3 inches. That's what she came and wore. But actually the shoes that she wore on the day, and I don't know why I didn't click, but her shoes were 7 inches. So of course this skirt was going to be way up here, and that was the solution. So I had to go back to her and say, "I'm sorry, but we measured you with completely different shoes." Yeah. I said, and you've changed your shoes, so we can add an extra. It was one of those ruffled skirt ones, so we can add an extra layer. Yeah. And I never heard from her again, so I don't know what happened.
She kept the dress and wore it.
I don't know, but I think she was very embarrassed. So I caught her out. I think she was after money back. Yeah. But yeah, we had done nothing wrong, which was a huge relief. But your calmness was fantastic, because I remember walking down. You were in Guildford.
I was in Guildford.
I remember walking down Guildford High Street, just crying my eyes out, because I didn't want to mess up. It's so important, right? You know, this is somebody's wedding dress.
Yes, it is, and you want to give them a solution.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I didn't have it because I couldn't work it out, because everything was correct. She hadn't grown. Yeah. You know, and the dress was the right length and stuff like that. So
it's very tricky, and it's sometimes people change, like in this situation where she sounds like she changed her mind about the shoes.
Yeah.
But sometimes things do go wrong.
Shoes were wicked. The shoes actually cost more than the dress. I remember that. Yeah.
I do like a nice pair of shoes. But ultimately in that situation, that is part of the job, isn't it? That we do, is just finding a solution, because you're never going to be able to take that anxiety off somebody unless you can offer a solution. And in that situation, you did. Yeah. We gave her an option of what we could do to the dress in order to extend it. Yeah. And then, clearly there was a difference in the height of the shoe.
Yeah, exactly.
So then she ultimately has the choice. She could choose a different shoe.
Yeah. Well, she knew. That's the problem. She knew what the problem was, and just let me go through that. Yeah. It was awful. But how did you start?
Well, I come from a family of dressmakers. So my mum taught me to sew.
My grandmother was a dressmaker.
Was she?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to hear about that first of all. Because it used to be in everybody's family, didn't it? Like everybody sewed.
Yeah, I
years
always
ago.
sewed. My mum never did.
Okay.
But her mum made all their birthday dresses, which was
Yeah.
quite tradition in India and stuff like that. And so whenever there was something to sew, she'd go and Shall you do it? You know, because she hated sewing. I think her mum used to make her do it, and she went the other way.
Yeah.
And so I always used to sew.
Okay. Well, so in my family, we all sew. So during the kind of summer holidays, there would, at the long dining table, there would be kind of my mum and my sister and me, all at our sewing machines, all making different projects.
Oh, wow.
I was on the sewing machine that was kind of like this.
Back in the day, I remember those.
Just because it was, I was the youngest. And that was
then you went on to the foot pedal ones.
I was never advanced enough to go on a foot pedal.
That was school, that was,
yeah.
Weddings can come with mayhem. Cocktails don't have to. Liberation Cocktails, pouches and party kegs pour mixologist-grade cocktails without the hassle. Take 15% off with code WEDDING15 at liberationcocktails.com.
And I think probably at home we were always encouraged to be very creative, and I think we were never told off if something went wrong.
Yeah.
You know, in other areas of life, but in terms of sewing and creative stuff, we were always really encouraged to just try stuff out.
Yeah.
And I think it really stuck. So when I, much later in life, became a bridal gown designer, it meant I was probably a lot braver than I might have been in just thinking, somebody comes in and they want people come and have something bespoke because they want something different.
Yes.
And sometimes people would come in and, you know, they would ask for something that I'd never done before, which is quite common. And I have to improvise a lot. And I kind of think, well, you know, let's give it a try.
Yeah.
And the bespoke process is always really that you start with a sketch and then I make a prototype, which is like a kind of mock-up.
Yeah.
And at that stage, you can try around, you can kind of mix around. Yeah. So I think those early childhood times of just experimenting and being creative helped me later on. Thinking
on your feet as well a little bit, which I think you have to do a lot in bridal.
Yeah.
I have to say we've been sponsored by Liberty Cocktails, who've given us some wonderful cocktails, and I've got a really dry throat, so I'm going in with mine. I've got the spicy margarita.
In the meanwhile, shall I witter on?
Yeah, you carry on. I've got some questions. So yes.
So learn to sew at home, and my only formal training really is at the London College of Fashion. And actually it wasn't a very long course, but I felt when I started my business, which was not until I was in my 30s, I really wanted to get myself up from a home dressmaker level to a professional level. And
have you always done it?
I've done it on the side, but I only actually started my business in 2002, I think.
Yeah, that's about right, yeah.
I started off by bouncing around. So I kind of went from having this very kind of creative, imaginative, lovely approach to just trying things, and I loved sewing. But when I was 18, I didn't necessarily want to sit at a sewing machine all day. Yeah. So I actually bounced around. I went to uni. I tried acting. I switched and did Italian. Yeah. Well, it's back to this creative imagination.
Well, I suppose, yeah. I've done my first commercial, just saying.
Have you?
Yes.
What was it for?
I can't tell you.
Allowed to say? Oh, okay. But it's great. I used to love dressing up, and I used to love that kind of fantasy thing. So that was a really special time. And then, did Italian for a bit, lived in Italy for a year. And then I switched and thought, well, I've got to get a proper job. So I went to work in Monsoon, clothes shop, which at the time, not the most fashionable shop on the high street, but I ended up loving it, loved working in a team, and worked there for about 10 years. And I learnt the business of fashion.
I think like with Monsoon, they're quite different to the normal generic high street. Yeah. So it was quite a good shop to...
It was really lucky that I happened to land there. And also they have lots of natural vegetable dyes and things, and I started getting quite interested in dyeing, which I think we might be...
so you've got to keep watching, not because we want you to, but we're going to paint something later, aren't we? What can go wrong? You know, it's wedding mayhem after all, and I am chaotic, so you know, who knows?
Yes. So from a bespoke point of view, I suppose I learned at home to sew, and then at the London College of Fashion I learned to be better at it. And then I realised that actually a lot of people, I think, have a design flair. A lot of brides I meet, they kind of know what they want, but they don't necessarily feel they have the tools or the skills to put it down on paper and really create it. So I created a little collection which is called Couture Kit, which you can still see on my website, where you click on a top, click on a skirt and build your own dress.
Oh my God, it's like those little dollies.
Yeah, it's exactly like the dollies.
Is it exactly that?
That was where the idea came from. So it's a digital thing. So I have samples of all of those separate components.
Okay.
So you can design your own dress online, then come to the studio and try on the separate components. Pick your fabric, choose your neckline,
Because your industry is completely different to mine.
Yes.
We're the complete polar opposites, which is what I love. Because people are going, why have you got another wedding dress shop person on your couch? You know, but you know, you literally do everything from scratch.
Yes.
You know, you've touched every inch of that fabric.
Yes, and I think the lovely thing about it is the fact that people are, I think everybody is creative, but a lot of people don't think they are. So by doing something like this, it's very accessible. And I was back to that thing when I said about the fact that you were so friendly when I first met you. I think the same thing. I think people can sometimes feel bridal is sort of, you're slightly kept outside.
Yeah.
And
well, this is why we started this.
Really?
To get people used to us as people before they came to the boutique. Because it's like going to the dentist, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh my God, you know, and they still come to the counter and they're shaking like leaves.
Yeah.
So we wanted to be accessible and them know us before they came.
Yes.
And that's the same for you.
Yeah. And I think once people start to be creative and they kind of think, you know, they're standing in there in their outfit that they've designed using the app, and then they're standing in the outfit and then they decide what neckline they want and what fabric. And it's like, I suddenly point out to them, you know, this is your dress. You've just designed this. You've designed this yourself.
Special.
And they're like, so I have. Yes.
So it's like back in the old days where like your mum would make your wedding dress and stuff like that, but they're doing it themselves.
It's very special. It's lovely. And I love it. And it's so varied. And I think the other thing that I'm very conscious of, having brought from childhood, was I've always been very anxious. I was as a small child, and I always have been. And I'm sure you're the same. I can spot it a mile off when somebody walks through the door and they're anxious about something.
Yeah. And the thing is that, you know, this job is not stress-free to do. We are living on our nerves. You know, you're like me. You've just come out of like the manic side of Orange. It was always busy, but the last 6 months, 7 months, it's been like, you know, roller skate months, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so
and I think, you know, people try and mask it in all kinds of ways. But I think when you get married and you're standing there, particularly for a fitting, whether it's in your shop or it's in my studio, and I'm shuffling around on the floor pinning up the hem. You as a person who's in your dress, you're looking in the mirror. It's very intense, and you can feel like you're examining every single part of your body, and it's completely
and they
natural.
pull themselves apart.
Yes,
you know, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah, it does. But it feels as though a lot of people, when there is something that they don't like or they're self-conscious about, other people will say, "Oh, it's fine." People will say, "Oh, you know, I think my arms are fat," and people will say, "Your arms are fine." I don't always think that's helpful, because I always try and find a solution. So I sort of ask and ask and ask until we manage to establish exactly what is it. What is it that they're really worried about? Why do they feel like that? And once we start to unpick it, then I think it's a lot easier to find solutions.
You're quite right. We did it to a girl on Saturday, and she had the same. It's exactly what you just said.
Right.
And instead of like putting sleeves on her, which is what everybody was going for, we literally put one row of beads.
Yeah.
A bit like our lights, like that. Just draped it here, and it just broke that skin up. And she went, "Oh, that's amazing."
Yes. It's very subtle.
Very subtle.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be a massive, great thing. But I think working in bespoke means I've got the luxury of being able to take the time and have lots of different alternatives and just work through it. And I've got some kind of tips that I always offer to brides that are feeling really nervous about being in the dress.
Can you share them?
Yeah. Well, some of them are really practical, and I'm sure you do the same. There's one of the best ones I find, which surprises most people, is that when they come and pick up their dress, I always get them to bring someone with them who's going to be dressing them all day.
You need a chauffeur.
You do need a chauffeur, and you need somebody to show you the back fat side boob kind of shuffle. Do you know exactly what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I actually did that yesterday with a girl.
Did you?
Yeah, and I went, "You need to come in here because I need to show you." Some girls just don't have it, but you know, and it can happen for all sizes too. You know.
It's just skin. It's just flesh.
So you're going to have to say that slowly again. What is it?
It's the back fat side boob shuffle.
That should be the name of this episode.
Shall I kind of demonstrate on an imaginary person here, just in case anybody doesn't know? Because once you know this, honestly, you will feel fantastic in your wedding dress, especially if you're wearing something strapless. So if you were the bride and you're standing looking in the mirror, and I'm the person who's dressing you, so you're in front of me, so you've got your back to me. So what I'm going to do is put my one hand on your armpit, and I'm going to pull the dress back, and I'm going to put the other hand above it. I'm going to push your flesh forward, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. And meanwhile, you do a little rearrangement and a bit of a shuffle. And before you know it, you've got a nice bit of cleavage at the front.
You're in.
Nothing too slutty. And then at the back, it's totally smooth.
Yeah.
So that's like a really easy fix. And I don't know about you, I've been to weddings where people have been it's been flappy at the front and there's overhang at the back. And all they need.
Oh, I'm straight in there.
Are you?
Even if I don't know them, if I've plus one. I went, I work in a wedding dress shop. Can I sort your dress out? And they look at me and go, please,
What,
please.
You mean at people's weddings?
Yeah. I've got to ask you, you famously commentated a very famous wedding on a very famous wedding dress. Tell me more. Tell everybody more.
So somehow I managed to get myself invited to commentate at the royal wedding, Harry and Meghan's, on Meghan's dress, which honestly, it was a whirlwind. I'm not entirely sure how it happened.
So who were you?
It was for the Independent. So it was live for the Independent.
Okay, Independent. Oh my God.
So on the train on the way up on the morning, I kind of immediately said yes, thinking, well, this sounds fun. And you also get a front row seat, I wasn't obviously in the actual ceremony, but I was in the Heart and Garter, which is the hotel that's kind of opposite Windsor Castle, so it looks straight onto the castle, along with all of the different other TV channels all around the world. It was full of fantastic, really interesting influencers and bloggers and, I don't know, bigwigs, and then little Caroline sitting on the sofa thinking, what am I going to say about this dress? And the great thing about it was I'd forgotten my glasses. So all of these famous people that I should have known who they were kind of a bit of a blur. I mean,
quite a good thing though.
Well, it was, because I was so relaxed.
You're like, oh, hello, and then she's passing you.
They would say hello to me. They're probably because they didn't have their glasses either. They would think, oh, she must be famous.
Yeah.
So it was a really, really fun day. And I had to guess the dress designer. I did this. So this was before the moment when they got married and she appeared. So, which I made a stab at. I said I thought it might be Stella McCartney, because I know they kind of know each other.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
As it was, I think Stella might have made her evening dress, but it wasn't Stella that made the dress. But then we kind of just talked about the style of the dress and what have you. Best thing about the day was the food. Because there were so many famous people
Not
there.
the wedding?
The nibbles. Oh yeah, the wedding was good. The dress, well, I'll ask you what you think of the dress in a minute. But the food they served up all the way through the day was fantastic. It's like every time you thought you couldn't manage anything else, the little canapé.
Yeah.
Or something else, like a little.
So who provided that? Well, the
hotel.
The hotel.
Yeah.
It's a good hotel.
Somebody paid for it, but it wasn't.
Wasn't you? The bill's still sitting there, Caroline. They'll see this going there. That's her. That's
that one. Keep her away. Move them aside. Well, what did you think of the dress then?
It was exactly what I thought it would be.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, we actually I bought a dress very similar to that in prior.
Okay.
It came in from Germany, and actually I guessed Catherine's dress as well.
Okay, did you?
Because I knew that because of her figure, she needed for where she's getting married a bigger skirt, so I knew that she'd go into box pleats.
Okay.
So I've guessed both of those right. So yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, her dress is exactly how I thought it would be.
Yeah. Yeah. Really nice. And actually, she demonstrated. Did you notice how good her posture was all the way through? She was a bit like Kate Middleton.
Well, you don't want to fall down, do you?
No, you don't.
And so she did it slowly.
Yes.
Which she should do. And there is, I've done this a few times. So walking up that aisle, all you see is your person at the other end.
Yeah. And
you just want to get there as quick as possible because there's only all the focus is on you.
Yes.
But you don't ever get that moment back again.
No.
So you should. If you're listening to this, if you listen to this, hopefully you are listening to this. You should stop in the middle and just catch your breath, and it will just stop you from racing up to the top.
Yes. But I've got a little tip which I tell my brides in order to improve their posture.
Okay.
Because we're all exactly the same. I spend half my time in front of a sewing machine.
Well, we work forward, we wash up, we eat.
Yes. So one little tip, if you're sitting at your computer, never ever have your feet next to each other.
Okay.
Always have one foot slightly in front of the other.
Oh.
When you do that, your back will change. Like
it has.
Have you noticed? So when you're sitting at your computer, just always just have one foot slightly in front of the other, and then your back just goes into a proper curve and your shoulders come down. So that's one of my tips. And the other one is when you're boiling the kettle to make a cup of tea. I just give this as an instant, just to prompt a memory for a bride. Is to do the dumb. Do you know the dumb waiter? It's a Pilates exercise.
No.
So if you put your elbows next to your body,
Yeah.
your arms out, and you've got your
I'll do it with the biscuits.
Do it with the biscuits.
How
Perfect.
cute are these, by the way? Sorry.
Where did they come from? They're lovely. So you're sitting. You actually might need to put one of those down in a minute, but because the idea is you're not holding anything, but you're holding it as standing as though you were.
Okay.
You're then going to move keep your elbows in against your body and move your arms out like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, flower. And just keep on doing that. And initially you don't feel anything, and you feel like a bit of an idiot.
Why do I go? I must improve my bust.
And you just continue. And what happens is all your back muscles start to strengthen.
Oh, okay.
So in the run up to the wedding, if you do that, by the time you're about to glide down the aisle, you're going to have a lovely posture, and your shoulders are going to be down.
I love that.
Little things like that, I think.
Well, it presents the dress better too, doesn't
Yes.
it? And actually, it has a massive impact on that length.
Yes, it does. It does.
And I say, when I do my handover before they go into the dressmaking side of it, I always say, do not stare at what she's doing.
Right.
Because they want to see what's going on, or they've got the phones out. That's it. Yeah. So always look ahead.
Yeah.
And that's why you should always walk up,
Yes.
eyes there. I was going to ask you something. What was it?
We were talking about the royal wedding.
It was about the royal wedding.
So many funny stories. Can you imagine after 25 years we have a lot of stories?
We have a lot of stories. We do. Please don't tell them.
I won't tell any more secrets, don't worry.
We've also been on Don't Tell the Bride.
Yes, we have.
Not together. Did you? Well, obviously I did mine first because
Yes, you
I was the first one
You were
to
the
be on
first
it.
one, weren't you?
Yeah, and that was by accident.
Okay.
I wasn't supposed to be on it. I was actually the substitution from a couple that they found that had cheated, that already had bought the dress and got the dress.
Okay.
And it all came out, and obviously they were trying to sell the program at that point. It
Right.
wasn't actually launched.
Right.
And so at the last minute they were like, had to fill in with the person they had on the back boiler.
Okay.
So it was all done really quickly. They had a different name for it when they came in.
Okay.
I thought it was an April Fool's. It was my birthday.
Okay.
So I thought I'd been set up. And we came up with Don't Tell the Bride in the boutique.
Yeah.
And but that was the first ever one. They launched that.
Okay. And what was your groom like?
My groom was lovely.
Was he?
The bride, not so much. She still has my veil. If you're listening, can I have it back? I've got butterflies on here.
Butterflies, does it really? My dress had butterflies on it.
No way.
Yeah.
No, it's got butterflies on it. Yeah, she never returned it. I helped it out loads. Like we swapped the dress over.
Yeah.
But it's different today how it was back then, because there's a lot of stuff that they took out to protect it that they would have kept it in now.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, what was yours like?
Oh my guy was hilarious. Well, mine were wrestlers. So
Sorry?
yeah, they were both wrestlers. He was a wrestler and she was a wrestler. So my studio is kind of at the end of a nice kind of leafy lane. It's very quiet. And there was a knock at the door, and I knew that the cameras were there, and the groom knocked at the door. And I opened it, and this guy, he was kind of as wide as he was tall. He was huge. He was just, you couldn't see his face because of all the tattoos and piercings, which is fine. I love a tattoo and I love a piercing, but this was kind of everywhere. Big Mohican. And I kind of thought...
Oh, I know which one it is now.
And he was...
That was early doors as well.
It was quite early doors.
Yeah.
Anyway, he knocked at the door, and I sort of said, "Oh, hi, you must be Mike." And he was like, "Hi, Caroline. Yes, I'm here about Becky's dress." He was such a sweetie pie. You just wouldn't, talk about not judging a book by the cover. Yeah. I thought he was going to be really quite a fierce guy. He was such a sweetie. And what was even better is he had with him a dress. It was like an evening dress that his fiancée had worn recently, so he knew it would fit her. I mean, how thoughtful was that? So he just said, "Have the dress. It might help with the measurements."
Yeah. See, I don't know how they do it now, but back in my day, I didn't get any measurements at all.
Really?
We got absolutely nothing, and I managed to get hold of his email.
Okay.
And I said, "I need her measurements, or that wedding dress is not going to fit her.
Yeah.
It not only is it going to look bad on me, but it's going to look bad on your wife to be, because it's not going to fit her properly."
Yeah.
And luckily my dressmaker was actually in the boutique. They were all hiding in the back with the sound engineer.
Okay.
So she was on hand and as it turned out, we had to mock up another dress anyway.
Okay.
For her, but there and then. But they don't give you anything.
No, and it's all so last minute. It's literally like it looks like on
a week.
on the show. It's like, well, I had 2 days.
Yeah.
I literally stayed up all night making this dress.
Oh yeah, no, I had a week
But fortunately, she liked it, and this was like I remember talking to my outlaws, my parents-in-law. I call them my outlaws. But I was talking to them the day before, and they watched it, and they said, "What's this Don't Tell the Bride thing?" And they watched the show, and they rang me up and they said, "Oh, you're quite sure about being on this, Caroline? It's just
carnage." It was.
Well, it can be carnage.
Yeah.
You know, there was the one where the groom went off to Vegas and spent all the money on
Yes.
the stag weekend. And they said, you know, what happens if the bride doesn't like it? Because then you could have done exactly what the groom said.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't like it, you'll look rubbish. But it was fine. And it had butterflies all over it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Nice.
You've done a few celebrity weddings.
They're, you know, really lovely, very relatable people, and two of the nicest people I've ever met. First one was Katie Hill. She was Blue Peter presenter.
Was it the first wedding?
I think so.
Okay.
And I actually altered a dress. So the dress was ordered for her, made by a designer, and arrived at a different shop in Guildford that I was helping as a seamstress at the time. And she was very sweet, came to try on a dress in, and the idea was she would try it on and she would take it home because all the measurements would be taken. And the startling thing about her was she came into the shop. There were probably several of us around. I was there as the seamstress, as the shop owner, and then, you know, a few other people. And she walked in, she just kind of stepped out of her clothes, took everything off and just stood there in her pants, waiting for the dress to be put on because she knew this
It's
was
from TV, I suppose, you know.
And I thought it was a real moment because she wasn't being an exhibitionist.
No.
She wasn't, you know, I mean, she had a cracking figure.
Yeah.
But I didn't even notice actually what her figure was like.
Yeah.
But
well, it's like us in the changing room, you know, I couldn't tell you what colour their pants were and everything.
No.
You know, we do this day in and day out. So, you know, sometimes we get girls, well, I always say, look, we normally dress you all right for me to be in here. If not, you put the dress on and I'll then come in.
Yes.
But after the third dress, they're like, you know, you might as well just come in, you know, because we're like midwives, aren't we? We see that, well,
no dignity left. Yes. But so she was lovely, and we just needed to correct some stuff on the dress. So I kind of needed to take it apart and remake it because it was too short and a bit asymmetrical and stuff. But that
wasn't
was
my bride.
It wasn't your bride. No. And the other was a much more recent one, which was a Paralympian, Kylie Grimes. So she plays wheelchair rugby.
Yes.
And she was the first wheelchair user that I'd ever made for.
She did a speech at my stepson's graduation.
Did she?
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's wonderful. So every night before she came for a fitting, my lovely hubby would be down on his hands and knees, putting a laminate floor down in my studio, setting up the ramp to the doors and everything to get everything ready. But she was so understanding and patient because I'd never made one before. And there are certain things about wheelchair user dresses that need to be...
Can we talk about that? Yeah. Because I think this is going to be so helpful because I've done a couple of wheelchair users before and them coming in and going, I can't have a full dress, can I? I'm like, yeah, we can. We'll sort it out, you know. So
I think whatever you want, you can have.
Yeah.
I think there are just adaptations from a dressmaking point of view that make things a lot easier. So with Kylie, she wanted a very slim, slightly fishtail, but basically a very slim skirt and then a separate top. No buttons obviously at the back, and ideally elasticated.
Why?
Because you can't lean back on buttons. It's
they
really uncomfortable.
hurt.
Yeah,
they do hurt.
Little things like this I had to be told. I just didn't really know.
Yeah.
And what was very interesting was when I came to do the skirt, we tried fitting after fitting. She was so patient, and just the logistics of her getting into it, that was an education. She had her mum and her sister. One would be on one side of her, one on the other, to lift her up so that I could shuffle the skirt on. It gave me a real window on a tiny bit of her life that I realised how uncomplaining she was at all of the difficulties that she has to go through. But once she got the skirt on, each time she tried it on, there was like too much fabric here. It was just wasn't looking slim. And then I realised, it's like when you look at this chair, there's like a panel, there's like two seams here. And this panel comes up here and up there. So actually we realised that's what we needed at the side of the leg. Oh. It's called a Z-shaped panel. Now, this took me, I was like trying to reinvent the wheel because when I started looking at adaptive clothing, I realised the Z-shaped panel has already been invented.
Right.
However, I reinvented it.
On a wedding dress.
On a wedding dress.
Genius.
And it looked fab, so it meant everything was really tailored.
Yes.
And then there was an extra panel at the back for the seat to make sure there was enough room. Because you know when you wear a pair of jeans, if you sit down all day, it's like the back sort of rides down.
Well, also she's like a dead weight as well when she's sitting, I suspect, because she can't move herself around. Yeah. So that's why the buttons hurt as much, you know.
And she was really interested in being able to rewear because she's she's a speaker and she goes to lots of functions. She is a Paralympian. She's
an amazing speaker.
She's an amazing speaker. She goes to lots of evening functions. So I said, why don't we make the dress so that you can dye it later and then wear it again? So so I washed all the fabric before and then made it so it meant it was pre-shrunk and tested it for dyeing, which was really cool. So, and I kept the pattern so that if she wants to just ring me up and say, can I have I've got a top,
dress maybe,
but can I have the skirt in a different colour?
And we've got to talk about your book.
Oh yes.
It's called Relovable.
It is called Relovable.
I mean, I am an author too, but not to this level.
You write lots of books, haven't you?
Only 2. Well, I'm on my 3rd.
Okay.
But that is incredible.
Thank you.
That's incredible. When did you do that?
So that was published in 2024.
Okay. So last year.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
So it was a labour of love, and I wrote it. It's about what to do with your old wedding dress, and I wrote it because that is the question that most of my brides will ask at some point.
Well, mine will ask me that question, and they'll go, "Oh, I can repurpose it, can't I? I can rewear it. I can dye it again, can't I?" And it's girl math. It's like when we all go, yeah, you can, and we know they're just going to put it in their loft, but it is, we don't like, girls are rubbish at spending a lot of money on themselves. So, but you have actually gone there.
I went right down the rabbit hole, and I just tried everything, because ultimately, to me, because of how I've grown up and my approach to sewing generally, I'm not scared to give something a go, and I tried everything. So a lot of bridal boutiques donated sample dresses for me to test out, and then we did photo shoots of the repurposed items that I made, and then printed them all in the book.
And what tell us the things that you have made out of dresses.
My favourite chapter was about refabrication.
With my cocktails.
Rock on, my love. My favourite was on refabrication, which is where you actually change the nature of the fabric.
Yes.
So if you want to go down the extreme end, you cut your wedding dress into strips, you tie the strips together, and
you called it tagliatelle.
Tagliatelle, yes. And then you knit it. You either knit it or you crochet it. So I showed a couple of jumpers and a Christmas bauble that was made out of tagliatelle. And one thing I think that people don't sometimes think about when they're buying a dress and they want to repurpose it is the fact that the fabric is often very bridal, satin being an example.
Yes.
So I thought, I wonder what I can do with this. So I had a sample dress that somebody had donated. So I thought, wonder if I could change the texture. Got a bit of my husband's sandpaper and started sandpapering the dress. And it turns into suedette.
No.
Yeah. So I took the skirt off this dress.
So purpose for everybody else. What is a suedette?
Suedette. It's like, it feels like suede.
Yeah.
So it's almost like velvety.
Yeah.
But
like this.
Yeah. So I turned it into a kind of bomber jacket. So it's got a lovely texture.
Is that the purpley lilac
the purpley
one?
pink one?
Yeah. That's beautiful. And that was a wedding dress.
That was a wedding dress.
Satin wedding dress.
Yes.
You have to go and have a look at it because it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Well, I show. To be honest, there were some triumphs and disasters in the making of the book. So there were some things that I tried and were just hideous. So I made a beautiful jumpsuit out of one dress and then dyed it pink, and it literally looked like a nightmare from Barbie. It was such a shocker. I've got a video of it on my YouTube channel showing the shocker, because I then over-dyed it into a colour that was actually wearable.
Are there things that you can't dye?
Yes. So that's why we're going to paint a dress.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because, yes, there are some. Because when you look at most dresses, they say on the inside, dry clean only.
Yeah.
And the nature of dyeing something is you've got to get it wet and you've got to get it hot.
Yeah.
So actually, the result of that is very often those dresses will shrink, they'll distort. One of the layers might shrink, but another might not.
Yeah.
You don't know what will happen.
And you get watermarks as well in some fabrics.
Like beads can melt, all sorts of things can happen. So I would say don't be scared of it, but just you need to test it.
Yeah.
So I think I do dye dresses now and then. I do them and show them on my YouTube channel, but I very often will just cut off the train and then do lots of tests on that.
Right, okay.
Really vigorous testing.
Yeah.
But there are some dresses that they wouldn't survive the dyeing process.
Well, I was going to bring one in and you went, darling, that's just not going to work. I went, okay, fine.
Well, actually, like the dress that you've got behind you, that probably would work.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm guessing that's probably polyester.
I
would say all the different petals.
It's a tulle, there's a tulle. There's
Yes.
a polyester underneath, but the tulle on top. And that's a fabric on top.
Okay. So the tulle,
But the 3D flowers would.
Yes, they would. But they probably go a slightly different colour to the rest of the dress, which is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I've got one on my channel, which I've just done, which is blue, and it had those kind of petals. and it worked a treat. So it's really when you have mixed fibres where you maybe have a natural, like a silk lining and then a different fabric on the outside. And how are you going to know that? I mean, when you look at a wedding dress, you just wouldn't know what all the different components are.
Yeah.
So a really safe option is to paint. And I researched until I found a really good fabric paint, which you can use. It's accessible, it's easy.
Because I actually had a dress in last season and that's hand painted.
Is it?
But it was so expensive. So I'm thinking that, you know, if you like that look and your budget's not there, that you could do this.
You could do it yourself.
You know, buy a dress from me, follow her, or get her to actually send it to you. You can paint it. But I'm thinking that's actually quite a budget way of doing it. But you've got to make sure you've got the right paints. It's got to be fabric paint, right?
Yes, and there are different kinds of fabric paints,
Okay.
and I just tested them to see, which was better.
We talk about restyling.
Yeah.
What do you mean by restyling?
I mean that you can either take something apart completely and repurpose it into a total, so you're almost harvesting the fabric and making a totally different garment.
Yeah.
Or it's as simple as chopping it in, you know, chopping the skirt off the bodice.
Yeah.
And then adjusting the skirt slightly.
We've done it with something similar to this just recently.
Have you?
She actually bought 2 sale dresses. One was a fishtail skirt.
Right.
One and one was like this, and we've taken the bodice off.
Yeah.
And we've made the hip skirt.
Yep.
Detachable skirt, so she's got the slim dress underneath the hip skirt.
Perfect.
And it's still come under what her original budget was. You
yeah.
know, for buying 2 sale dresses.
Brilliant. So you can go as complicated or not as you want to, but I think one of the biggest obstacles in repurposing things, if you decide you want to do that, you might want to just keep the dress because you might just want to love it and you treasure it and it holds all your memories.
Yeah.
But if you do want to repurpose it and you can't sew,
Yeah.
I brought a couple of things to show you.
Have you?
Well, yes, because you can find people that will make for you.
What is this? You bought booby holders.
I did. Isn't that a beauty?
Is this a wedding dress?
This was a wedding dress. Yes.
Let me show.
So I found a bespoke lingerie maker.
Look at that.
And I sent her, it was like literally scraps of lace from a dress. And she made, I mean, you could buy that in Rigby and Pella, couldn't you?
That is actually, that is beautifully made.
Yeah.
So you could actually have underwear to match your wedding dress.
You could, but this would be after the wedding.
Yeah, but if you've got extra
yes.
fabric, you could buy extra fabric. Some of our designers will offer extra fabric.
Yeah.
And then,
Yes.
So you've actually got literally a matching set.
Yes.
And that is beautifully made inside.
Isn't it lovely? And this is another one. So this is a company where you literally send your fabric and they make the bag. It's in the UK. Can we put the links in the show
Yeah,
notes? Okay.
yeah, definitely.
So if you don't know how to sew, you literally just delegate and get it made.
Again, that is stunning.
And I've got a couple of...
But there are handbag courses that you can go on to.
There are.
But
Yes.
actually, for time-wise, and that, it might be cheaper and better to do that.
Yeah.
But I love that.
Yes.
And
then
again,
there's
it would match your dress.
Yes.
What else you've got? I love this.
This is
It's like
couple-
Christmas.
This is a kind of easy peasy one. This was a...
Garter.
Yeah. So you don't even need to do anything to it. But
No.
There's something lovely about when you have your favourite book and you're reading it.
Yeah.
And you've got a little touch point with your wedding day.
Yeah.
So-
But again, this is like the scrunchies.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and I love that. Especially if you're
really
getting
special.
more ready in the morning and like, you've got your hair up and everything.
Yeah. One more little one. Earrings. So
Out of the
In
beads.
most craft shops, you can buy like a little jewellery kit.
Yes.
So you can make your own earrings and literally just use the beads. And again, it's just something, you don't need to take your dress apart.
No.
You could probably get a little pair of scissors and just cut off a few beads from the train.
Well, some of the dresses do come with like a little pouch of
do.
beads.
I never thought of that, but that's a really good point.
For transit and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, and you know, we've always got them. So
Yes.
I'm happy to give my brides some extra
Yes.
beads. That is amazing. You would never know.
No.
And it can match your dress, couldn't it?
And the last thing, which is something I'm just doing a course on because so many people are asking about it, is I've worked out a way you can hand stitch a Christmas bauble. I mean, can you imagine? Every year you don't put out the plastic tat on your Christmas tree. You put out...
I'd love a bit of tat on my tree though.
Well, I do. I have plenty of tat.
It's the memories though, isn't it?
It
It's
is.
like, you know,
And what a lovely heirloom gift.
that is stunning.
You can pass it on to your kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, because back in the day we were told to keep our dress and hand it down, you know, from your grandmother. I'm a massive fan of taking something from, grandparents' dresses or mum's dresses and putting that in the dress,
Same, yes.
either in a memory pocket inside or, and stuff like that. So this is a lovely way of doing that as well.
So I'm doing it. It's going to be an online workshop. Well, I do 3 in the autumn each year.
You're doing these courses?
Yes, I'm doing them. So and they are super. I literally go from how to thread a needle. So you literally, if you can sew on a button, that's a good head start. Yeah. But if you can't, it doesn't matter.
I'm learning about needles at the moment and steel needles.
Are you?
Yes, fascinating. Yes, yeah, not the bendy ones, but that's. I love this.
Thank you.
And we are living in a world where we're being told to, not throw anything away, and I think we're getting a bit better.
Yes.
But the wedding dress is a frivolous buy, isn't it? So.
Very often you only wear it once.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
Yes.
But I love this. I was actually going to say, you could repurpose your grandmother's dress into underwear, but that might be a bit weird.
Well, sometimes actually...
For your wedding day?
Yeah, on the wedding morning, sometimes mums have their dress made into like a bathrobe sort of thing, like for having your makeup on, and then give it to their daughter on the wedding day, so she has her makeup done wearing...
Oh my God, she'd be bawling her eyes out.
Well, I know. There is that.
Oh my God.
But isn't it lovely to keep it in your life?
That's beautifully made as well.
Isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's my little box of tricks.
Your little box of tricks. You don't want to see my box of tricks, I tell you.
There's lots of options that if you don't sew and you don't want to do something so extreme.
What if they have something drastic done to their dress and then they don't like it? So again, it's not a question, but it's just
Well, so far it's never happened, just because I am so cautious, and I'm sure you are. I'm so cautious by nature.
Well, we exchange our dresses now.
Right? Do you?
So we always try and make it sure we get it right first time, unless it's
Yes. I think you can't go into anything unless you're prepared to lose it. It's like lending something to somebody. You can't really lend it unless you are prepared not to get it back. Yeah. I think, in my view, and I think
I don't lend anything.
Well, I think
I don't.
Good to know.
Especially my cocktails.
Well, that's fair enough. But I think that's where, a cautious method, like painting, which I'm hoping we're going to be able to do.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, fantastic. That is a really foolproof method, because you can test it and nothing's going to go wrong with the dress.
Yeah.
So I did a couple of colour swatches, so you can choose which colour you want us to do.
Okay, perfect.
And then we'll mix the colours and try it.
Fantastic. Can we do a couple of questions from the public?
Yeah,
because we haven't done any for ages. Okay. And so these are questions that have come in off YouTube and our social medias and stuff like that. But we've got tons.
Oh, do I get to pick one?
Yeah. Try and mix them up. People are messaging in twice going, you haven't read my question out.
I love the fact you've got it in big print.
Well, this is the girls in the shop, because I know that I haven't got my glasses on.
Fantastic, it's very practical. My partner still follows and likes all his ex's posts online. Makes me uncomfortable, and he says it's harmless. Is this a red flag before marriage, or just insecurity on my part? Ooh. Interesting one.
Yeah, I mean...
What do you think?
I mean, one of my husbands is not on social media. The other one is, and we exchange texts like Christmas and birthdays, and the odd one through the year going, how you doing, and stuff like that. And we've not been together 15, 16 years. So, I think it depends on if there's messages being exchanged.
Yeah.
I personally don't have a problem with it. My husband's in touch with his ex-wife, not previous girlfriends, but he's still on social media with them. They're still on, though he's not on social media much himself. So that's difficult, but there is a trust issue there, isn't there?
Well, there is, and I don't, and to my knowledge, my husband doesn't. We've been married for 25 years.
Should we check? Get your phone out.
But my sister, she's been married also for about, I don't know, years and years, and she's in touch with about 3 of her ex-boyfriends.
Yeah.
And Marcus knows them as well. He's met them.
Yeah.
They were together for a period of time because they were really good friends.
Yeah.
It didn't work out as a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
And she met Marcus, and they've, still very happy together.
Yeah.
But for her, it works.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I can't really see the point. I can't see the point in staying in touch with one of my ex-boyfriends, but that's because maybe my relationships were different, and I actually wasn't with them because we were really good friends. Yeah. Whereas with Gail, my sister, they were really good. So
I'm friends with like ex-boyfriends on Facebook and stuff like that, and but I think social media is different. If it's texting, I think that's completely different, because that is in contact.
Yes.
But if you're on social media with them, you know what it's like. You know, you never get rid of your followers, do you? You know.
I think also there's so many blended families that I think it makes sense to keep in touch in some situations. But I would just question the reason why, and is it something that makes you feel uncomfortable? And if it is, then
you need to talk about it.
You need to talk about it. As long as you talk
Good
about
answer.
it.
Should bridesmaids' dress hair preferences come before the brides?
For the bridesmaid?
Yeah. No. Bride should always get her dress first and her hairstyle first, I think.
Yes, I would agree.
Because that's the theme, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought you were meaning that does the bridesmaid get to express her preference for her own hair and makeup? Is that what you meant?
But it looks like it. Yeah, a bit of both, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. But I think, bride always comes first.
She does always. I've got to say, most of my brides are absolute sweetie pies,
Yeah.
and most of them say, "Do you know, I let my bridesmaids choose their dress."
Yeah,
they are quite. I think now there's so much more flexibility about everything.
Yeah,
I think they want the person to be happy, comfortable,
yeah.
and so long as there are some ground rules,
yeah.
About the kind of tone, of the look.
Yeah, as long as you're happy with it, that's fine. But I think for me, the bride should be choosing her dress first.
Yes,
it's her moment.
For sure.
Isn't it? They'll have their moment, hopefully, or had their moment. So it's always the bride first. Because if you go out, if the bride chooses that and you've gone and bought something that's got stripes in it or spots in it, it's not going to go, is it? Yes. So, bride always first, whatever. Yeah. Let's do another.
Oh, do I have another one?
Couple one. He's not waving at me yet.
I found messages from my fiance to a female. This is along a similar theme, isn't it?
Yeah, we had the divorce coach on last time, so the questions that we didn't get to answer went back into the box, and we got them answered.
Cool. And so I found messages from my fiance to a female colleague that felt a bit flirty. He says it's innocent, but I feel uneasy. Should I be worried? Personal thing, isn't it? It depends on your relationship.
I would feel if my husband was flirting with another girl, then yes. But I know that some blokes won't see that they're flirting.
Yes,
depends on what level it is.
I think it depends on your relationship. I think, and I think like for the previous one, you need to talk about it.
Yeah. I think if he's being flirty on messages to other people and he's not flirty with you, that's not his nature, and so it's unusual behaviour, then yes, I would be worried. But again, you've got to talk about it. I've got 2 minutes, apparently. Right. How many here we go. Right.
Okay.
These are picked up at random, I promise you, right? How many bridal shops should you visit before making a decision?
Oh. Well, I've had brides that...
Only two. Me and her.
I've had brides that have been to 12.
Yeah.
Some of them have just driven, and I don't think it's helped them. So
I find that brides now are accommodating different sets of friends and family and taking them to different shops just to get the experience.
Yes.
And they're done. It also depends on the shop. Like you pretty much, every girl that sets in foot in your boutique, you pretty much can say, right, what do you want?
Yes,
I'll create it.
Yeah,
and I'm the same. We have so many designs now. I've got 300 dresses now.
Wow.
I know.
Okay.
I started with 20 back in the day, but so it depends on the shop, because some shops you go to and they only do one style.
Yeah. Yes.
Then you do have to go to a lot, but
I think there's different kinds of boutiques from what my brides say that they and quite often they've tried on before they find me, and I think you can find bridal boutiques that have, like yours will have a huge array of different dresses.
Yeah.
So really, you can almost visit 10 shops just by going to you.
Yes, I won an award a few years ago, just before COVID, and they just said you're 6 shops in one. They did like a secret squirrel shopping experience.
Really?
Still can't work out who they were at the time, but they said you're 6 shops in one, and I say that now because we literally have everything.
Yeah. But I find when people show me their Pinterest boards, because every bride's got a Pinterest board.
I hate Pinterest.
Do you? I love
I do, because I think they've conditioned themselves before they come in.
Okay.
So and what they've done is that they've gone in and gone, this is what I want. Okay. Because I've put it all on my Pinterest board. Then they put it on and they don't like it on themselves. Okay. So we're back to square one. But at this point, they don't know their own mind now. Oh. And they're really doubting their taste, and they've done this over months, maybe years.
Yes.
And then they put it on and then it doesn't work.
Okay. Well, maybe the bespoke situation is slightly different.
Yeah.
In that I love a Pinterest board. And because we do the sketch first, then the prototype, very often at the prototype, we'll look at the outfit and I'll be working to get the fit exactly right. And the bride will be looking at it and thinking, I know I said I wanted the neckline, but actually I want it slightly different. Like on my Pinterest board here, can we try that?
Yeah.
So we can try multiple different options. So maybe Pinterest board, great if you're going to have a bespoke dress made.
Yes.
Because you can reference little fragments of things that you've seen.
I love it that you sit down and draw with them.
I do.
Is that's the first appointment?
That's the first appointment.
Do they send you anything in beforehand?
Quite often people will send me links to photos and they might say, I like the top of that dress and the bottom of that one and the fabric of that one. And then at the appointment, we'll do some trying on of maybe the couture kit samples so they can see what the silhouette would look like. And then I will sketch, once they've arrived at the closest that they think they want, then I'll sketch it up.
Brilliant. And then what happens next?
So the next thing is I then put together a quote based on the fabric that they choose and how long I think it's going to take to make.
Yeah.
And I then ask them to go away. So I send it to them so they can just rest. I never ask for people to kind of book around them. They can rest, they can percolate on it, think about it over the weekend, talk to their other half, whatever they need to do. And I let them know when I would need them to let me know by in order for me to be able to make it for the date of their wedding. And then if they decide to go ahead, they pay a deposit. And then we book in their fittings, usually in the 3 or 4 months before the wedding.
Yeah.
And then we just, make it from start to finish.
I love that.
It's really fun. It's so creative. And at the end, I always put the offcuts in the bag. And the same when I do
To make baubles.
Yeah, to make baubles. But people,
I'm on board for the baubles,
are you
by the
on
way.
board with the baubles?
And the bra.
You need to do my workshop. And they, when I say I've putting the offcuts in the bag, they, having said that they're not creative, they kind of say, oh, actually, I do a bit of scrapbooking. Well, that's creative.
Yeah.
Or they do a little bit of patchwork, or they like, like the scrunchy kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think all of it is very valuable. And I think creativity is it's the antidote to stress.
Isn't it?
That's why I spend most of my time trying to encourage people.
Yeah, my favourite days are when I'm in the boutique.
Really?
Because as the owner of a business, you are behind the scenes a lot, and it is 50-60% admin, isn't it?
Yes.
So but when the moment I walk into the boutique, I'm like, relax, I love it.
Yes.
We're going to do some painting now.
Oh, good.
So we're going to jump off the sofa and you're going to come back and then we're going to be painting. See you in a minute. Bye. So welcome back. We're going to do some painting. What can go wrong with me and a paintbrush? I'm a really bad painter. My husband does not let me paint at home.
Does he not?
No.
Oh, that's quite funny.
Because I'm a bit of an abstract painter. I'm like this, where he's like all the fine lines and stuff. So
well, and that's one good thing about this. It's like it is supposed to be fun. Anything creative, anything you're going to do like this, the whole idea is that you're going to have fun. You're going to relax, let go of that perfectionist mindset from being a bride.
Not a perfectionist.
And just have a go, have some fun.
Cool, okay.
So what we're going to do is, I also have a paintbrush.
Okay.
So we're both going to have a go at painting this bodice.
So much fun.
And the advantage of this is this bodice, I know because I made it, has got lots of different fibres in it. So the outside is a polyester, the middle side is a cotton calico lining, and then there's something different for the actual lining. Okay. So this is a prime example of something that if you stuck it in a dye bath, it would probably shrink, distort. Some of the layers would shrink, others wouldn't.
Okay.
So it's a perfect candidate for painting.
Okay.
Now, I've got it on a mannequin with a nice bit of plastic underneath, but you could just lay this on a table if you wanted to have a go.
Okay.
So I've brought a couple of colours for you to choose,
Pink.
Sharon. Pink. Oh, fantastic. So this project, so those are the pinks that I brought.
Okay.
And the product that we're going to use is called Dynaflow, which is, it's almost like an ink. It's like a dye ink.
Okay.
This is the product. So on there, you've got 3 different pinks.
Yeah.
So you can see there's a really bright
one.
There's a kind of a darker, sort of almost cranberry one, and then there's the one in the middle. Any preference?
Let's go the bright.
Okay.
Oh, no, the raspberry one.
The raspberry one.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So we'll give it a good old shake.
So do you want me to hold this?
Yes, please. So I'm going to chuck the whole lot in.
Okay.
So this is...
Oh, that's cut off. It was coming out the bottom then.
Isn't it quite... Oh, really?
No, it's not. No. Can you imagine?
Don't me like that.
It's cold.
Okay. And this is... and this is the product that we're going to add to
it,
which is called Airfix.
Okay.
So this is what fixes the product. So afterwards, it's not going to rub off on you, or if you get it dry cleaned, it's not going to, the colour's not going to
And it's not going to come off you if it starts raining.
Nope.
No.
So it's basically an Airfix product, which we're going to carefully measure.
We
About a teaspoon and a half. That was me carefully measuring.
We had a bride once who changed her mind on her dress at the last minute and had her dress tie-dyed.
Did she?
And it actually worked out okay, but we were all like, when it came back, we're like, oh my God, that's not the dress that came. And it actually worked out okay, but we were all like, when it came back, we're like, oh my God, that's not the dress that came. We thought, what's happened?
Okay, so I'm going to pass you a marigold.
Oh, okay.
So you're right-handed, yes?
Yeah, you know me so well.
Okay, and I'm going to give you a piece of kitchen roll just in case. That's exactly what I had in mind.
What am I doing with this?
Okay, now I'm going to put my marigold on. Can you hold it?
Okay, yeah, I can. Yeah.
There we go.
This looks extremely dangerous. My husband's watching this now going, oh my God, you trusted her.
Okay, what is the worst that can happen?
Well, it ends on me, ends on the sofa.
Well, yes.
Ends the show.
It's not going to happen.
Producer sacks me.
Be brave. Let me hold it for you. Okay, so we're both going to dip, and at the same time, we're going to do a sweep down the bodice.
Okay, so we're literally painting?
We're literally painting.
Oh my God, this is so much fun.
Isn't it?
Am I getting rid of the excess?
Well, I do only because otherwise it tends to dribble down.
Okay, oh yeah, I don't want you dribbling.
And then you're literally just going for it. I know. Isn't that colour fantastic?
I feel really rebellious.
I know. Isn't it fab?
Oh my God, this is so much fun.
So we're only going to do the front.
Oh, you are dribbling.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I can't help myself.
So actually, you have to be quite generous on your
You do.
on your colouring.
Yes.
Oh my God, Caroline, can I come and play?
Yes. That is the whole idea of all of this, is that we're literally having a play.
You moved away, so I couldn't come and find you.
Do you reckon?
I still recommend you to my brides, by the way, for tailoring. Do they
They still
really?
come. I very often. Do you know? I realise
I've not seen her for like 20 odd years.
Yeah.
And that's mad, but it's nice and comforting because we all know that we're still there if we need each other. Yes. And that's the same with all my dressmakers and my shops that we recommend as well.
Yeah.
Look at.
I know. How much fun is that?
Oh my God.
And literally as easy as, and how quick is this?
Oh look, I've got one of my hairs here. Look, hold on.
Oh.
Got one of those. Off my head, before anybody says. Oh look, it's going everywhere.
So this is when you just relax. And can't you just feel, okay, maybe not, maybe this is a little bit optimistic, but I think when you do something like this, like all your stress, just kind of, you just forget about the things you're worried about. And you can just absorb yourself in something as simple as this. So what I'm going to do after we've done this is I will take it home with me.
Yeah.
And I will finish it.
Yeah.
So, because I think we're not going to have time to paint everything really well. I'll make sure it's not blotchy, so it might need a second coat, but it's basically a kind of very, very simple process, as you can see.
Absolutely brilliant.
Isn't it?
I love it.
And once I've finished it, I'll show the other half on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And once I've finished it, the last stage I'm going to do, which I'll talk about a little bit more, if we've got time, is tumble drying it, which sounds really random. But the only thing about fabric paint and the main difference between paint...
Can I just put that down there?
Yes, I'll hold it.
Yeah, put it on. That's it.
Yeah. The only difference in the way a paint works and a dye works is the dye actually bonds with the fibres of the dress. Yeah. Whereas a paint sits on the surface.
Right.
Now this particular one, and this is the reason I've chosen this product, is it does sink in. So it sinks in a lot more than the majority of fabric paints that will literally just sit on the surface.
I have a question.
Go for it.
Can we do this on our wedding shoes?
Yes, you can.
Ah,
yes.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, because we often get the shoes coming back, or the girls want a coloured shoe that matches their bridesmaids and stuff like that. So I'm actually wearing my wedding shoes here.
Are you? Oh, fantastic.
I'm going to lift them up there, you can't see them. But yeah, I wanted coloured shoes. I didn't want the standard ivory shoe or anything like that.
Yes.
So I'm going. I'm keep
going.
Yeah.
Are you going?
Yeah.
I'm stopping at the side.
That's it. I've got to finish it.
I'm going to do a little clear up.
Well done, Mum. Do you know what? That's absolutely amazing.
How much fun was that? Just pop it in there.
Yeah. And you could do this with maybe your bridesmaids afterwards.
Well, you can do it with your kids. You know, you can do it with absolutely. You can
it felt very reckless.
It did. Yes.
Because you're spending thousands of pounds on your dress sometimes, and it was just really nice to do.
So the tumble dry thing is just because the paint sits on the surface of the fabric. Sorry, this is a bit geeky, but I am a complete geek. You will find that the texture of the fabric feels a little bit rougher. But if you put it in a tumble dryer on cold, once it's dried, then that will soften it all up.
First of all, I didn't know a tumble dryer had cold. New to me.
I believe they all do. Who knows? Maybe yours doesn't. I take that for you.
It's washing, isn't it? I let my husband do the washing.
But that then softens it up, because I think that's the only thing you can tell that is different.
And it won't. Obviously, it's cold, so it won't shrink it.
It won't shrink it. No, isn't that fab?
And who cares? Because, like, you know, you've been reckless on it. I absolutely love that.
And if you've got other fibres, I need to just put that down.
Oh, you've got a pin here?
Yeah, I've got a couple. Can you grab them?
As you're doing this, guys, if you are actually doing this at home after you've seen the show, can you send us pictures in or little videos, little clips? We want to see what colours that you've made and how it turned out.
Yes.
That would be so cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. And if you've got lace, like the dress behind us, if you've got texture or lace or something like that, thank you, then you can paint those as well. You could paint those a different colour if you wanted to.
So could you put like, just going in with the paint now?
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to shower at me, I'm going to lie.
Sorry, boss. It's turning a bit Blue Peter, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah. Or you could take a smaller paintbrush and you could just paint an individual leaf.
Yes.
And then you can just have a few of your leaves.
Look at that.
I know, isn't it lovely? So actually you can use a big fat paintbrush that you would normally paint the room with, or you can use like a little, you know, little artist ones.
I'm just dabbing it on,
Yeah.
but look at the colour of that lace. Do you know, I had a lady literally this week ask me if we knew anybody that died, and this is before you and I had that conversation, because this has been quite a quick, like, we come on the show.
Paint a dress.
Do you know how I found you? I know you were on my list and everything, but I put into ChatGPT, I want guests in that do something unusual.
Okay.
And you came top of the list in ChatGPT. How cool's that?
That's amazing.
And I went, I know that lady. What is she doing that's different? And then we saw this and the book and everything.
Yes.
I'm getting carried away now.
Well, it's so therapeutic, isn't it?
I love it.
And it's because you're being creative and you can just you can relax and just play, just have some fun. I think it is the ultimate antidote to stress.
But look how pretty that lace is.
Yeah.
That is absolutely wicked. I absolutely
Isn't it
love that.
something?
So I'm going to send this bride your way.
Okay, fantastic.
Because she's got bridesmaids dresses and they want to change the colour.
Yes.
I think they went for like champagne and now they want into like teals and stuff like that, which you know you can definitely do.
Cool.
That is absolutely
but
awesome.
if it's all right with you, can we put links to all of this in the show notes?
100%. Yeah, we're going to put all the links in. Where can we buy your book?
So you can buy it from my website, which is my name, carolinearthur.com.
Oh my God, fantastic. And you don't want everybody to buy it. I heard this on the radio show.
Partly because I've hardly got any left, but also it was a small print run. It was a sustainably printed book.
Yeah.
And the irony is not lost on me that I'm kind of saying in the book, don't buy lots of new stuff.
Yeah.
And reuse and recycle. Yeah. And then I'm making a new book and say, buy my new book.
Yeah.
So in my dream world, this would just be in libraries.
Yes.
And it would be shared, between bridal boutiques.
Yeah. Well, and colleges, because do you actually teach as well?
I do. I work with students, and there are some London College of Fashion students who took 3 of the wedding dresses and repurposed them, and they're photographed in the book.
Oh my God.
They were so imaginative, honestly. They're really architectural and right out there.
And you mentor too?
I do.
At other bridal stores?
Yes.
You're amazing.
I love working with young people. They're just so fearless.
Well, I think it also, like for me, I have young stylists in, and they are amazing because they come up with all the new ideas. They're obviously in tune. It keeps me fresh, and on the ball as well, and it helps drive the business forward. You know, it's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or else you stay stagnant. You know, and then you don't appear on ChatGPT.
I think you've just got to give it a go.
Yeah.
Like we've done in our businesses, and like you can do this with your wedding dress.
Yeah. But you've not only just given it a go, you've taught us how to do it properly. So we're not going to waste our dress. We're not going to ruin it. And you're going to repurpose it. You could then paint this black. Could you repaint again?
Yes, you can. Yes.
There's no end to the talent, I tell you. Right, where can we find you?
Okay, so all of the links really are on my website.
Yes.
My social hashtag is Caroline Arthur Bridal.
Yeah.
So you can find me on YouTube at Caroline Arthur Bridal or Instagram.
And she's nearly at 1 million views. Let's get her to 1 million views.
Well, thank you very much.
So give her a like, give me a like at the same time. And you're still making dresses as well.
I am still making. So I just make a handful of dresses a year.
Yeah.
And then I speak at colleges. I write for a number of different magazines, and I do this. So I quite often have brides that come and they let me film the whole process from when they arrive with their wedding dress all the way, and they've just got married and they say, I want to dye it whatever colour, and I will video all the way through. I've just dyed one with tea.
With tea?
Yes. It was a silk dress, and this bride just sent it to me in the post, and she said, can you just dye this a champagne colour?
Oh, wow. Because back in the day with Queen Victoria, that's how she did her dress.
Yes. And that's another whole area. So this is super easy because you don't need to do anything else with it.
No.
If you dye something and it's a natural fibre like silk with tea, you've got to mordant it. And I used to be scared of things like that.
Do what with it?
Mordant. So that means before you dye it, you put it in a mixture with, you can use something like aluminium sulfate and cream of tartar to soften it, and blah, blah, blah. And I read all about that and I thought, this sounds very complicated.
Yes.
But actually, I got ChatGPT to help me break it down, and I thought, I want to try this because it's. And what was great about it was I kind of steeped the tea, made the concentrate, did the mordanting, dyed the dress, and at the end I just used a regular saucepan because there were no chemicals in it. No. It was just tea.
We are going back to the old days, aren't we now? Of, you know, like you said, repurposing, making our own. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's really personalised.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just means you can extend the life of your dress and keep it in your life.
Thank you for coming in. You have not changed one bit. We both looked at each other and went, you're still the same. It's something you can just step into each other's world 20 years later. And it's lovely.
It's just easy.
It is. I'm not easy.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
We want to giggle, haven't we? So literally go follow this lady. She is absolutely awesome. All these little top tips are fantastic. And, you know, repurposing is really important. It is really important. Thank you again for all the messages, all the likes, all the comments are coming in as well on our platform. So keep those coming because they're really important to us. Keep liking, keep sharing, and we'll see you all again next week. Bye. Bye.